Hello everyone, how are you all? Welcome to the today's lecture where we are going to learn about polymerase chain reaction, commonly known as PCR. What is PCR? PCR is a technique used in molecular biology to amplify a single copy or a few copies of segmented DNA into multiple copies. That is, through the PCR, we can amplify a single copy of DNA into multiple copies. It is an in vitro amplification of DNA or photocopying of DNA. This is the polymerase chain reaction. Let us see the history of PCR and how it was started. During 1983, the PCR was invented by American biochemist Dr. Carey Mullis. And 1895, first publication of PCR was done by CETUS Corporation, which appeared in the Science. And 1988, Tag DNA polymerase was first used in the PCR. During 1988, Perkin-Elmer Company it introduced the automated thermal cycler to perform the PCR. And 1989, Science declared the Tag polymerase as molecule of the year. And during 1990, amplification and detection of specific DNA sequences using a fluorescent DNA binding dye was happened. This is the basic for the future that is real time or kinetic PCR what we are going to use today. And 1991 RT-PCR was developed, that is reverse transcription PCR using RTTH DNA polymerase. It facilitating the diagnostics of RNA viruses because this RTTH is a thermostable DNA polymerase which was derived from Thermus thermophilus having reverse transcriptase activity. What is the use of this reverse transcriptase activity? Because in case of RNA viruses, we can't directly proceed for the PCR. First, we have to convert this RNA into cDNA, that is complementary DNA, on which we are going to perform PCR. This is the use of this RTTH DNA polymerase. And during 1993, Dr. Carey Mullis shared Nobel Prize in Chemistry for conceiving this PCR technology. This is the overall history of the PCR. Coming to the components of polymerase chain reaction, there are various components required to perform the PCR. What are those components? That is target DNA, that is DNA template which we have to amplify, and second DNA polymerase, that is stacked DNA polymerase, and primers, DNTPs, and fifth one is the magnesium. Let us see each one by one. DNA template. DNA template is the DNA target sequence or DNA region that has to be amplified in the PCR. And coming to the DNA polymerase, what is the activity of this DNA polymerase is it will add nucleotides which are complementary to the template strand at 3' hydroxy terminal with the help of bound primers, and it will synthesize the new strand of DNA which is complementary to the target sequence. And what is the most commonly used DNA polymerase is thermostable tagged DNA polymerase. This was isolated from Thermus aquaticus, a thermophilic bacterium, and it is stable at higher temperatures. And nowadays we are using the another tag polymerases which are having proofreading activity, that is PFU DNA polymerase isolated from Pyrococcus furiosus, because these are having proofreading activity to prevent the error in addition of nucleotides. We are generally using this PFU DNA polymerase. Coming to the third component of the PCR is the primers. These are the synthetic DNA strands of about 18 to 25 nucleotides in length, and these are complementary to 3' end of the template strand. Generally, we have to use two primers, that is forward and reverse primers, to perform the PCR. So that forward primer that is complementary to 3' end of the antisense strand, and reverse primer is complementary to 3' end of the sense strand. So if we consider that sense strand of a gene, that is 5' to 3', For designing primers, the forward primer is the beginning of the gene and the reverse primer is reverse complement of the 3' end of the gene. In this picture, here you can see, if you take this sense strand and this is the anti-sense strand, here reverse primer will bind at the 3' hydroxy terminal and sense strand also will bind to 3' hydroxy terminal in anti-sense strand. So in this way, this Taq polymerase will synthesize the new complementary strands. Coming to the fourth component, that is DNTPs, that is deoxynucleotide triphosphates. All types of nucleotides, that is adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine or uracil, these are the building blocks for new DNA strands and these are essential for PCR reaction. And this Taq polymerase, with the help of bound primers and these DNTPs, they will add to the template which according to the complementary nature. And fifth and most important thing is the magnesium. This magnesium, it will affect the template denaturation, that is the initial step, and primer annealing as well as enzymatic activity, that is Taq polymerase activity. If we are using the excess of magnesium, it will give non-specific amplifications. That means it will not give specific amplification, it will bind somewhere in the template and it will give non-specific amplification. While if you will use low magnesium, it will yield lesser amount of the desired product, means which is we won't get the huge amount of the desired product what we want actually. So magnesium ions in the buffer act it as a cofactor for DNA polymerase enzyme and these are required for the PCR reaction. Initial days we used to add the magnesium as a separately, but nowadays magnesium is coming along with the buffer, so there is no need to addition of magnesium to the PCR reaction separately. But before proceeding to the PCR, first we have to see that whether buffer containing the magnesium or not. If it is not containing, then we have to add magnesium separately. If the buffer containing the magnesium, then there is no need to addition of magnesium separately. Designing of the primers. So before designing of the primers, we have to consider some points. So what are those points? Let us see. Initial point is that primer should bind to the correct template, means whatever primers we are designing, it should bind to the exact template what we want to amplify with good specificity and strength. It should not bind to wrong sequences which give false amplifications. And optimal primer sequence and appropriate primer concentrations, these are essential for maximum specificity and efficiency in PCR. That means primer concentration should be appropriate. We should not use excess of primer concentration or less primer concentration, and primer sequence also very specific to avoid the wrong amplification. And complementary nucleotide sequences within a primer and between the primers should be avoided. That means we are using two primers here, one is forward and another one is reverse primers. Between these two primers there should not be complementary. If there is a complementary between this forward and reverse primer, then it will give primer dimer formation. So these primers will not be available for the synthesis of new DNA strands. So if there is a complementary nature between the primers, it will lead to primer dimer formation. So we should avoid this complementary nature while designing the primers. And if there is a complementary sequence within a primer, that means if a forward primer or reverse primer, whatever it may be, if there is a complementary within the primer, then it will lead to formation of hairpin loop structure. Here you can see in the picture, this is if you take this forward primer, if there is a complementary nature and it will bind like this, because here GC there is a complementarity and TA there is a complementarity, and it will give a hairpin loop structure. So again this primer is not available for the synthesis of new strand. So we have to take care about this complementary nature between the primers and within the primer while designing these primers. And primers should preferably end on guanosine or cytosine residues so that it can attach with sufficient strength with the template. So while designing the primers, we have to see that at the end of the primer, it should have at least G and C region, so that it will bind to the template, because G and C, they will bind with 3 hydrogen bonds. So it will improve the efficiency of the priming because of stronger bonding of this GC bases. At the same time, there should not be more than 3 or more cytosine guanine at the 3' end of the primers, because it may lead to mispriming, that is non-specific binding of this G or C rich sequences. Because if we are using 3 or more G or C residues at the end of the primer, they will automatically bind to the non-specific template, which will lead to mispriming, that is wrong amplification. So we have to use only 2 residues, and at the same time we have thymine or adenine residues, so we should be avoided at the 3' end of the primer, because it will weaken the primer's hold on the template DNA, because these will bind with the 2 hydrogen bonds, whereas G and C, they will bind with the 3 hydrogen bonds. So while designing the primer, we should avoid the complementary nature between the primers and within the primer, and this primer should end with the G or C region to improve the priming specificity, and primer sequence should be very specific, and we have to use optimum concentration of the primer in the PCR to improve the sequence specific amplification, to avoid the wrong amplification. Coming to the different steps involved in the PCR. There are various steps while performing the PCR. That is, initial step is the denaturation, which is a separation of double helix strand of the DNA at 90 to 95 degrees, and second step is the annealing, that is binding of oligos, that is primers, to the target sequence, and third one is the extension, that is extension of primers by polymerization of DNTPs, that is attaching these DNTPs towards the 3' hydroxy terminus of the template strand and forming a new copy of target DNA at 72 degrees with the help of Taq polymerase. So let us see each step in detail. So during the denaturation step, what will happen? During the denaturation step, the reaction mixture what we prepared for the PCR, that is heated to 94 degrees. Generally we will follow 90 to 95. We will set up reaction at 94 or 95 degrees for 1 minute to 5 minutes. It causes separation of double stranded DNA. Here you can see this is the double stranded DNA which is separated into 2 templates. So now each strand acts as a template for synthesis of complementary strand. This is the first step in the PCR. Coming to the second step, annealing, which will take place at 54 to 65 degrees. It depends on the standardization of annealing temperature for the primers. So this step consists of cooling of the reaction mixture. Initially it happened denaturation at high temperatures. Now we are reducing the temperature, that is cooling down of the reaction mixture after denaturation step, then which causes hybridization of primers. So primers will bind to the separated DNA template, and length and GC content of the primer should be sufficient for stable binding with the template. This step already I explained while designing the primers. And guanine pairs with the cytosine with 3 hydrogen bonds. Adenine binds with thymine with 2 hydrogen bonds. Higher GC content, which results in the stronger binding of these primers with the template, but it should not more than 3 or more GC residues at the end of the primer. And in case GC content is less, then we have to increase the length of the primer. Here we can see these are the 2 separated strands, and these primers will bind, reverse primer binded here, and forward primer binded to the antisense strand, and this reverse primer binded at sense strand. And third step is the more important, that is extension at 72 degrees. The reaction mixture is heated to 72 degrees. This is the ideal working temperature for Taq DNA polymerase, and length of the time, how much time we have to use for this step, that depends on the length of the DNA template which we are going to amplify. And here Taq polymerase, what it will do, it will add nucleotides, that is DNTPs, that is adenine, cytosine, guanine and thymine, which are complementary to the template on 3' hydroxy primers, thereby extending the new strand. Here DNTPs used to be there, Taq polymerase, it will add DNTPs based on the here these residues, and it will extend the synthesis of new strand in both directions. Here you can see in the sense strand and antisense strand, then it will lead to the formation of new strands. Then final hold. After these three steps, we will do short storage of this PCR product, that is we will conduct at 4 to 15 degrees centigrade temperature. These three steps we will perform for 35 to 40 cycles. Generally we will follow 35 cycles. After completion of these cycles, we will keep this PCR product at 4 degrees generally, that is a short term storage of this PCR product, that is amplified DNA sample. And what is exactly about this PCR? This PCR is an exponential cycle, because we are using both strands, these are copied during PCR, and exponential increase of number of copies of the gene, that is 2 to the power of n. Initially 2 copies are there, then after 2 cycles of PCR there will be 4 copies, and after 3 cycles there will be 8 copies. Like this, in exponential phase, the initial single copy of DNA will amplify and it will give huge amount of the amplified PCR product, which we can detect very easily. Here you can see the entire PCR cycle. Initial denaturation, that is separation of double stranded DNA into 2 strands, and here annealing, that is binding of these primers with these template molecules, and extension, where with the help of DNTP Taq polymerase will synthesize the new complementary DNA strands. This entire cycle will repeat it 35 to 40 cycles. Then what is the advantage of PCR over the other methods? Because here we require small amount of DNA. Even the concentration of 40 nanograms of DNA, that is sufficient to perform the PCR cycle. And results we can obtain very quickly, that is within 2 to 3 hours, that is within a single day, based on the length of DNA template. And there is no need of using radioactive material, that is phosphorus, which is radioactively labeled. There is no need of using radioactive labeled material, and it can be used to detect the point mutations within the sample. Where we are using this PCR, there are lot of applications for using this PCR, because in lot of research fields we are using. Some of those research fields are molecular biology and genetic disease research, to identify the new genes. If the sample, what we are suspecting that it containing the pathogenic DNA, then if you perform the PCR with the some specific primers, if it is giving the amplification, then there will be a pathogenic DNA. If it is not giving the amplification, then there is no pathogenic DNA. And in case of anthropology and evolution, sequences of these degraded ancient DNAs that can be tracked after PCR amplification. And as PCR is having high sensitivity and selectivity, it can be used in dealing with the crime cases for mixed sample forensic casework, and it will permit early diagnosis of malignant diseases such as leukemia and lymphomas. And this PCR can be performed directly on genomic DNA samples to detect the translocation specific malignant cells or infectious agents like mycobacterium, anaerobic bacteria and viruses. Nowadays we are vigorously using for detection of these coronaviruses, and it can be used for site directed mutagenesis, for creating the mutations in the targeted region, that is SDM, site directed mutagenesis, where we can use the primers to create particular specific mutations in particular target region. These are the applications of this PCR. So today in this lecture, what we learned, just we will recall. Initial, what is PCR? PCR is the sequence specific, that is sequence specific amplification of that particular target region, and history of PCR, how it developed and how Taq polymerase used in PCR, and automated thermal cycler development, then Carey Mullis and receiving of Nobel Prize in the chemistry because of this PCR. And after that, what are the different components of PCR, and how we have to take care while designing the primers and different steps in the PCR, and advantages and application of PCRs. I think you understand completely about this PCR. If you like this video, then share with your friends to give knowledge to them. And thank you for your keen interest in this video, and remember to like and subscribe for more videos. I wish you great success, health, prosperity and happiness. Thank you.